Good morning, Oklahoma, and welcome to Cow-Calf Corner. This week, we're going to start a two-part series where we talk about some of the management things we can do in a cow-calf operation to try to add value to that calf crop whenever we wean them and either market them or decide to retain ownership. And in times where input costs are high and we're seeing cereal grains and things like corn more expensive than they've been for a while, fuel costs, fertilizer costs, it's worth taking a look at what we can do to try to add value to that particular calf. And so the topics we get into this week are basically fall under the umbrella of preconditioning. What do we mean by preconditioning? Basically taking a set of calves and getting 2 rounds of vaccinations in them for things like blackleg and respiratory disease, deworming them a couple times, and if we've got intact bulls, we need to castrate them. If we've got horned calves, we need to dehorn them. And at the point that we get ready to wean, we want to wean those calves for at least 45 days before we think about taking them to market. At this point in time, if we could potentially bunk break those calves or train them to come to a feed bunk to eat, all those are things that permit us to add value to a set of calves. Why is this pertinent as we think about this time of the summer? Typically when those calves are 2 to 4 months of age, coming out of spring calving programs based on when they were born, it's a good time to get that first round of vaccinations in them, which we can booster later, potentially even do that before we actually wean so that we've got a stronger immune system. So when we go through that stress of weaning, those calves' immune system is better prepared to deal with that. We think longer term, and why are these calves worth more to us? Whenever we wean a set of calves, they're going to undergo a change in diet. If we market them or move them around, you're going to have the stress of commingling and transport. And a calf that's got a better immune system, knows to go to a feed bunk to actually eat, that's been dewormed a couple times, already castrated, dehorned, they're going to better cope with all those stressors. Respiratory disease is a really big issue as we think about stocker operations and finishing operations. If we want to sell those calves as preconditioned cattle, there's actually some tools available to us here in Oklahoma. We've got the Oklahoma Quality Beef Network, and there's a link and a website you can go to take a look at information where you get some third-party verification on following preconditioning practices that qualifies those calves to go through OQBN sales. And even if we want to retain ownership ourselves, the additional benefit of health and non-treatment and added gain on calves is something that we can capture the value from if we're going to retain ownership of stockers or potentially finish those calves on out. So again, this week is part 1. We're taking a look at some things we can do on the farm or ranch to add value to those set of calves based on what we intend to do with them post-weaning. It is that time in summer if we're going to follow up on some of these guidelines to be getting that first round of vaccinations and deworming into those calves, potentially performing castration and dehorning while they're younger, and it's even less stressful for them. Appreciate you being with us this week on Sun Up. We'll see you next week on Cow-Calf Corner.